Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. I hope all is well and you're enjoying the start to your week. Bit of a quiet week for Arsenal. And take full advantage of that because there's not going to be many of them after this week is over, because the midweek games are going to come thick and fast, with Everton next week and then the Europa League returning as well, and the Premier League really heating up in the run-in. So it's going to be a very busy few months after this week, so enjoy the downtime. And enjoy the Champions League, whatever you're going to watch to get your football fix this week, because from next week onwards, it is going to be all go when it comes to Arsenal. Obviously, the next game for them will be on Saturday at Leicester. And a big game. That is where they're all big games, aren't they, at the moment, given the position that Arsenal are in. And Leicester is nothing different. Arsenal having a recovery day yesterday. I'm sure you all saw videos doing the rounds of Arsenal at London Colney training, loads of players not being involved. Saka, well, loads of players were not involved basically, but there's nothing to worry about. They're not all injured. It was just a recovery day for most of the players that started the game against Villa at the weekend. Any of them that were sort of struggling a little bit, or legs were a bit tired, it was just a recovery day. They're all there, they're all in the gym, they just weren't out on the pitch. So that's why, and it'll be very different once you start seeing videos later on in the week of the players returning to training. Fingers crossed Bukayo Saka will be fine despite the heavy treatment he received once again against Villa. I wrote a piece today that's gone live on Goal explaining my feelings on the whole Bukayo Saka needing protection sort of stuff that is going around at the moment. I think he absolutely does. Arsenal are worried about him, and they should be worried about him, because, as I said yesterday, it only feels like a matter of time until he gets an injury, unless he gets the protection that he deserves and referees start clamping down on the sort of persistent, calculated fouling that he is having to endure every single week at the moment. So anyway, that's out on Goal today. You find it on my social media channels or on the goal.com homepage right now. Big news out of Arsenal today is a new contract for Mohamed Elneny that has just been announced. Not a surprise. It's been sort of coming for a couple of weeks now. It's just been a case of Arsenal actually confirming the news. An extra sort of year for Elneny, so it takes him through sort of summer of 2024. Arsenal's longest serving player has been at the club since January 2016, so by the time this contract runs out, it'll almost be due a testimonial. He's been here so long. He's been speaking about it. He says, "I'm so happy. I love this club and our supporters so much, and I'll give everything to help us be the best we can be every day that I'm here. It makes me so proud to have represented this amazing club since 2016. The spirit and togetherness we have in our squad right now is so positive, and I'm so happy to extended my contract." And he's posted some nice stuff on Twitter as well, some nice pictures of him, Edu Arteta. And a very popular player at Arsenal, popular within the squad, within the changing room. And all his teammates will be delighted that Mo has signed for another year. Now, I've seen some negativity towards this, but let me just explain that this contract for Mo, he might not be back for a large chunk of it because of the injury. Obviously, he's suffered at the moment. He is out for the season and could well drag into next season as well, depending on the recovery process, depending how quickly things start to heal and whether he has any sort of setbacks along the way, because it's a very serious injury. And he might not be back for a large chunk of this deal. What this deal gives for Elneny, like I said, Arsenal's longest serving player, a player who is so very much respected behind the scenes in the changing rooms and everything. It gives him time, it gives him security to work on his recovery. He could have gone in the summer, gone an injured player, not have had places to do recovery, to do his rehab. And Arsenal didn't think he deserves that, and they've stuck by him. They've given him another year. That's not just a complete pity contract, as in just so that he can get fit again. If he gets fit and the time frame's right, then he could still play a large chunk of next season and could still, be an option for them and a very valuable squad member. But what this definitely does is give him that time and security, and I think that's a very classy thing for Arsenal to have done. Arsene Wenger did something very similar with Santi Cazorla. I remember in Cazorla's final year at Arsenal when he was going through that awful injury issue that he had, and the multiple setbacks and multiple operations. Again, Arsene Wenger said to him at the beginning of it all, "Look, we are giving you a new contract. You just go away, relax in terms of your future, and try and get yourself fit, get yourself sorted, and know that you've got the security behind you of this contract and of the care of the club. And I think, that's a very classy thing that Wenger did, and it was very an Arsenal thing to do as well, because Arsenal do treat players right. When you're in this whole Arsenal family, as they talk about, they do treat players right. And, Mikel Arteta was brought up at Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. He knows what it's all about. He knows the club's values. He talks about it all the time. He's got huge respect for Mohamed Elneny, and I'm not surprised that they have done this for a player who they really, really like and appreciate. Mikel spoke about it in a couple of press conferences ago. He was asked a question. I think Mark Lambrians from PA asked him about it and about the fact that, during the injury, this new contract extension could give him the time he needs and the security he needs to really focus on that. And Mikel basically said that's what the club are looking to do, and the announcement would be fairly soon, and it's come right now. And as I said, I don't see this purely as a pity contract or anything. That's probably not the right way of describing it, but they still believe he can offer something on the pitch, Elneny. This isn't purely just a contract so he can get fit and then leave and carry on his career elsewhere. It's a case of get yourself fit, have the time and effort to do, and security to do that, but then come back and play a part next season, be a valuable squad member. This isn't going to affect Arsenal's transfer business or anything like that in the summer. They're not going to not sign a midfielder now because they've given Mario Elneny an extra year's contract. So don't worry about that. Don't think that that's the case or anything like that. It's not at all. It's a case of giving a player that they feel like deserves, who's been here a long time, who deserves a contract, who deserves to be given the security he needs to really work on his recovery. And they've given him that deal, and they hope that he will be back to play a part next season. But they're not going to not go and try and sign Declan Rice in the summer, for example, because they've just given Mohamed Elneny a contract. So if that's the thoughts, or if you see anyone talking about that, it's rubbish. So don't worry about that. This is just Arsenal doing what they believe is right when it comes to a player who has played a big part in this club for 8 years now. Okay, so looking a little bit ahead to the game against Leicester. Obviously, there was no Thomas Partey in training yesterday. I don't think he is back fit yet, as in full training, unless that has happened today, which I'm not sure about. He's not been ruled out in terms of the weekend, and from what I understand, he's very much working towards trying to be fit for the weekend. But it's something that's going to be a much later decision, I think, when it comes to whether Thomas Partey will be fit to face Leicester. Arsenal continuing to assess him. Like I said, he's working hard. He's aiming to try and be fit for this Leicester game. He doesn't want to be out long, understandably so. But Arsenal aren't going to take any risks. And the fact that they've got Jorginho now, who's playing very, very well, who made such a big impact against Aston Villa at the weekend, they don't need to take any risks when it comes to Thomas Partey. Got so many games coming up, such a hectic end to the season. Like I said, it's going to be midweek all the way now, pretty much, after this week is done with. So you don't want to take any risks with Thomas Partey. You want to make sure he's absolutely ready before you bring him back in. And the fact that Jorginho is there now, and as he showed at the weekend, he can make a big, big impact, then that just eases the pressure on Arsenal to do that. So we'll wait and see on Thomas Partey, but the latest in terms of what I understand is that he is working towards trying to be fit for the game at the weekend, but Arsenal will continue to assess him as the week goes on and make a decision later on in the week as to whether he's ready to return to training and whether he is okay to travel with the squad for the game against Leicester City. But like I said, the fact that Jorginho's there now and he played as well as he did again, well, not just against Villa, because I thought he played very well against Manchester City as well, that it just eases that pressure and the sort of demand to get Thomas Partey back as soon as possible. And that's the whole idea that Arsenal went out in the January transfer window and brought in a player like Jorginho, was to give him the option to be able to relax a little bit when it comes to Thomas Partey and not rush him back from injury. Elsewhere, obviously, Emile Smith-Rowe, another week of training for him. He'll be really pushing to get some minutes on the pitch very, very soon, which is a good thing. Gabriel Jesus continuing to get back towards full fitness, hasn't joined in with the squad yet, of course, so I still think we're some way off when it comes to Jesus. But if you're looking at maybe the end of this month, early next month, when they'll try and really sort of ease him back in towards doing stuff with the squad, whether that'll be contact will remain the same, but we're getting there when it comes to Gabriel Jesus. It's a slow process, obviously. Similar to Thomas Partey, you don't want to take any risks because he's still got a big, big part to play this season. If you bring him back too early and he gets another injury, then you're basically putting the rest of this season on the line, and you can't afford to do that with a player as important as Jesus. So they've got to make sure he's fully fit before he brings him back, and hopefully that will be very, very soon, but might have to be a little bit patient just yet. Okay, just lastly on this video, I want to talk a little bit about Fabio Vieira. A really interesting player, Fabio Vieira, to me. This season, it's been an up and down, I suppose is the right way to describe his first season with Arsenal. I thought he started off really brightly, then he had a real big sort of dip, but when he's on the pitch, he does contribute, and that's the thing. But he can disappear from large chunks of games, and you just think, yeah, you're not really on it, you're not that influential, but he certainly has something about him in the final third, doesn't he? He can produce, he can score goals of decent quality. His final ball is very, very good when he gets the opportunity. He showed that at the weekend. It was really good composure from him to do what he did for Martinelli's goal. You know, a lot of players could have panicked, they could have gone the wrong way, they could have run towards the corner, they could have shot for goal like so many do when they see an empty net from the halfway line, but he just bided his time. He waited, and then played the perfect pass through for Martinelli to make sure the goal went in. You could see how much it meant to him by his celebration, which everyone's picked up on because it's a funny celebration. And it's like, how do you assess Fabio Vieira's first season at Arsenal? It's just an interesting one. The quality is there, you can see it. He's an exceptionally gifted footballer. In the final third, he can make things happen. I think what he really needs to work on is being able to produce over longer periods in games, isn't it? I suppose you look at who he's up against in the team, and you've got Emil Smith-Rowe to throw into the mix with Emil Smith-Rowe coming back again. And you look at the players he's up against, probably especially Martin Odegaard, really, or Granit Xhaka is another one. It's how involved in the game they are throughout the 90 minutes. It's really heavily involved. You look at Martin Odegaard, how he took that second half by the scruff of the neck at Villa Park at the weekend. We're yet to see Odegaard do that. When he does get on the ball in a good position, he can play the killer pass, he can score a goal, and he can be a big influence on games. But in terms of the whole half and how heavily involved he is, that's where he can kind of disappear a little bit. And for 10, 15 minutes, you think, where's Fabio Vieira? Is he even playing? I think that's what he really needs to work on. And, whether we see him really improve in that regard in the second season he's Arsenal or the third season Arsenal, we'll have to wait and see. But it's just it's really interesting to trying to assess exactly where you are with Fabio Vieira after as we're approaching towards the end of his first full season at Arsenal. The price tag is big. Has he lived up to that price tag just yet? You'd probably say no, because there was a really big investment in it. But when you watch him and you see what he can do, you can certainly see positive signs in terms of what he might bring to the club in the next couple of years once he's really adjusted to the Premier League. And this is a big move for him. He's still a very young player making his move to the Premier League, coming from Portugal, new language, new league, all that sort of thing, new city to get used to. It's not an easy thing, and I think he has done well. There's clearly room for improvement when it comes to Fabio Vieira, but I think he's done well, and he's one of those players that you look at and think, yeah, once you're really settled, once you're fully adjusted to England, the Premier League, to what Mikel Arteta demands, and that's not an easy thing, adjusting and understanding exactly what Mikel Arteta demands. It takes players a long time to understand that. Then you sort of look at that, and when all those boxes are ticked, you could think, Fabio, he could be a really decent player for Arsenal. I'm intrigued to see how he gets on next season and the sort of step up that he takes. But it's been a pretty promising on the whole first season, but definitely room for improvement for Fabio Vieira. Let me know what you guys think. Always intrigued to see your views on that. And Fabio Vieira, how close is he to regularly starting for Arsenal? Should he see more minutes, or do you think he's probably getting about the minutes that he deserves right now? All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, of course. And I'll hopefully be back tomorrow as we really do start to gear towards that game against Leicester at the weekend. Mikel Arteta's press conference this week is on Friday morning. So we'll get the latest from him for London Colney in terms of team news and all that sort of stuff. Have a very good day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.